Pre-trip. Pre-trip is probably the biggest thing in truck driving school that's really fucking people up over here at Stevens. For some reason, people cannot get the pre-trip, which again is probably the easiest thing. Alright, if you can get pre-trip down and your backing is down, you good. But again, pre-trip is fucking everybody up. So what I want to do is, I've helped a few people with their pre-trip already and they pass. I want to help anybody else going to get their CDL, because this is the biggest thing. All right, it's one of the things that if you fail, you're going to have to come back and do it all over again. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is start off with front vehicle and the engine compartment. All right, there's a lot of pieces in the engine compartment, but you're not going to say every one. What they do is they give you a whole packet of their pre-trip and what they want you to say for the test. So I'm going to break it down into parts, and this is how you should generally say it. All right, the key to passing the pre-trip is people try to prolong everything and they want to be extra specific. All right, if you can do that, then fine. If not, the less you say and the more you cover, the better you are. All right, they're real particular about what you say. For example, if it has a hose and you mention the hose, you obviously have to mention that the hose is leaking. Because if you don't mention that the hose is leaking, you're going to fail your pre-trip. All right, it's little stuff like that. So this first part is going to be just engine compartment and the front vehicle. So enjoy. My clearance lights, left turn signal, right turn signal, four-way flashers, all are correctly mounted and working properly. They are amber in color. My high beams are properly mounted and secured. They work properly. Up under the vehicle, there is no leaks or puddles. My coolant tank is properly mounted and secured. There is no missing loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked or damaged or has any leaks. By looking through the sight glass, I can see that my coolant level is at proper operating condition. My coolant hose is properly mounted and secured. There's no cuts or abrasions and no leaks. My water pump is properly mounted and secured. No missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. There is no leaks. It is not cracked or damaged. My water pump is belt driven. By pulling on the belt, I should get no more than 3/4 of an inch of slack. My alternator is properly mounted and secured. It is not cracked or damaged. It has no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is belt driven. By testing the belt, I should get no more than 3/4 of an inch of slack. By testing my engine belt, I should get no more than 3/4 of an inch of slack. My air compressor is properly mounted and secured. There are no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked or damaged. My power steering pump is properly mounted and secured. There are no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws, and it is not cracked or damaged. My power steering reservoir is properly mounted and secured. There are no missing loose nuts, bolts, or screws, and there is no leaks on either my power steering pump or reservoir. If the power steering reservoir has a sight glass, I can see that the fluid levels are at proper operating levels. My power steering hose is properly mounted and secured. There is no cuts or abrasions, and there are no leaks. My power steering box is properly mounted and secured. There are no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked or damaged. My pitman arm is properly mounted and secured, top and bottom. There are no missing loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked or damaged. My steering linkage is properly mounted and secured. There are no missing cotter keys or castle nuts. It is not bent, cracked, or damaged in any way. Both my front and rear leaf spring mounts are properly mounted and secured. There are no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked or damaged in any way. My leaf springs are properly mounted and secured. There are no missing loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked, shifted, or damaged in any way. My U-bolts are properly mounted and secured. There are no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. My shock absorber is properly mounted and secured at the top and the bottom. It is not cracked, bent, or damaged, and there are no leaks. My brake hoses are properly secured. There are no cuts or abrasions and no leaks. My brake chamber is properly mounted and secured. There are no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked or damaged, and it has no leaks. My slack adjuster and push rod are properly mounted and secure. There are no missing castle nuts or cotter keys. With the brakes engaged, I should be able to pull on the slack adjuster and get no more than 1 inch of slack. My brake drum is properly mounted and secured. There are no missing or loose nuts, bolts, or screws. It is not cracked or damaged, and there are no oil or grease or debris on the brake drum. My brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. My inner and outer rim is not cracked, bent, or damaged, and has no illegal wheels. My inner and outer tire wall has no cuts, bumps, or abrasions and is in good condition. My tire tread is worn evenly straight across, and there is no less than 4/32 of an inch of tread depth. My tire valve is properly mounted and secured and has a cap. By testing the PSI of the tire with a tire gauge, it should be no more than 100 PSI code or to vehicle specs. My lug nuts are properly secured and they are not missing. There is no rust or shiny thread indicating loose lug nuts. My hub oil seal is properly mounted and secure. There are no leaks coming from the oil seal. If it has a sight glass, I can see that my oil levels are at proper operating condition. So that was just part 1, front vehicle engine compartment of the pre-trip here at Stevens. If you liked this video and you thought it was informative, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, eat a fucking dick. Make sure you subscribe. Peace.